Good afternoon, everyone. Just before you head off, we've got a very important task to perform right now. It was 12 months ago that I was on stage here at A-Cannabis with John Easterling to announce the launch of the MCIA Olivia Newton-John Service to Industry Award. Our aim with this award is to honour Olivia's work in raising awareness of and advocating for medicinal cannabis as a new plant-based therapy and supporting research that can help develop therapies and educate patients and healthcare professionals. The award will also serve to carry on the values shown by Olivia Newton-John. Last year, in my role as chair of MCIA, I worked with John to review a number of high-quality nominations for this award. The criteria we used included identifying someone who has provided exceptional service and shown significant commitment to the Australian medicinal cannabis industry, achieved a positive impact on the Australian medicinal cannabis industry, and contributed a legacy for the industry's greater good. It is with real pleasure that we announce the extremely worthy inaugural recipient of the Olivia Newton-John Service to Industry Award is Lucy Haslam. Lucy, before you come up to accept the award, we'd like to play this video message from Olivia's husband, John Easterling, who recorded this because he couldn't be here today.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be with you there in Australia, even if I'm coming to you from California. There is a powerful personal story that everyone in this room knows about, a woman, Lucy Haslam, who through her son Dan endured unimaginable tragic and painful experience, an experience that she knew in part was unnecessary because there was relief in a simple plant in the plant kingdom. But because of a system then in place based on ignorance and arrogance, she and Dan had to endure unnecessary suffering. It was a tragedy that would permanently crush most mothers. But Lucy is not most mothers. Somehow she centered herself in a core conviction and a mission to right this ongoing injustice. Somehow she found the courage and the strength to fight for humane access to medicinal cannabis and to help the unnecessary suffering of millions of sons and daughters and mothers and fathers in Australia. As a nurse and a professional practitioner in the healing arts, she knew that education was the key, that exposing the nurses and the doctors and the public to the science, the research, and the experiences of cannabis and cannabinoids, that's what would transform ignorance and arrogance into embracing the many benefits of this healing plant. She enthusiastically brought together the best minds, the scientists, the researchers, the doctors in this field in Australia, and also the top researchers from around the world to educate any and all to the reality of the healing potential of cannabis and the cannabinoids. And that's what it's all about. She's been a pioneer and a tireless ally to this industry, helping transform that ignorance and arrogance into a belief and an embrace. Olivia and I have always admired and respected Lucy. I and all Australians owe a debt of gratitude to Lucy for her selfless commitment and devotion to this cause. I'm honored on behalf of the Medical Cannabis Industry Association and Australians everywhere to present the first inaugural Olivia Newton-John Service to the Industry Award to Lucy Haslam.
Lucy.
always the crier, aren't I? We've had lots of things today. We've had white men in open shirts, not suits. We've heard lots of things about the problems about medicinal cannabis. We've heard about the hope for the future and about it becoming mainstream. We've heard so much today, but I'm just so, I'm blown away. I'm really blown away. I'm really fortunate. I was one of the few fortunate people, I guess, to get to know Olivia. And the day she first came out about being a medicinal cannabis patient, I heard it on the news and I nearly drove off the road. I felt so excited that finally we had somebody who was prepared to stick their head up. And she brought star power, but she also brought a credibility that nobody else could bring. I was just a mother, but she was a global star, and she talked about it so openly, and she fought to break down the stigma and the barriers. So to have my name as the recipient of Olivia's award is just amazing. She felt so strongly about the value of cannabis that only 2 months before she died, she presented to our nurses at UIC. And none of us had any realisation of just how ill she was, but she was so determined to see that through. And I will never forget that, because that was absolute sacrifice. So, yeah, thank you, John. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, MCIA. And thank you, industry, because this is what we hoped for. Back in 2014, I put on the first symposium in Tamworth, and it was a very different crowd. I reckon there were 95% vegans and vegetarians. Most of them wore thongs, and it was just, I feared for the future of cannabis in Australia at that point. At the moment, I'm not sure whether I'm a glass half empty or a glass half full. I've listened to the things today, and the drug driving, the workplace drug regulations, there's so much that needs to change, and I don't know, there's not too many of you left in the room, but for those of you that are still here, I would like to ask your help now. We started this because of humans, people feeling the need to help their fellow Australians who are suffering. It was people power that got the politicians to listen. But there's so much more that we need to do, and I really, really would like to ask your help to help UIC to get the funds together to make a documentary series to highlight some of the issues that we've been talking about today that we need to bring back to the fore. I mean, there's been so much passing the buck, so much nothing to see here. So we need an industry that we can trust, and there's a lot to do in this space. So if any of you feel any inclination to help us make a documentary series, John's very keen to be involved. People like Dedi Mary from Israel, very keen to be involved. There's so much we can do, but we need to bring the Australian people along with us. We need to help to educate them, because they've missed out on education. They've been in this vacuum where they have to search and scour the internet to find the information that they need to make key decisions about their health and well-being. So that's my request of you, but thank you so much for being an industry that I think we're well on the way to being proud of. Thanks, Peter.